Hello everyone and welcome to Cruise Corner, a podcast by Cruise Trade News. I'm your host, Will Payne, and today I'm joined by AmaWaterways Director of Sales UK and Europe, Andrea Stafford. Andrea, it's great to see you and thanks so much for joining us.
Really nice to see you too. It was a bit of a trek to get here, but we're all good.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate the effort. It's great to have you on today. So I hear this is your first podcast?
Yeah, I'm quite excited.
Excellent.
I'm like, let's not say anything wrong. So, yeah.
Well, we've got a great editing team, so it's absolutely fine. Well, as I say, thanks so much for joining us. So I did a bit of digging, and I actually found that next year's quite a special milestone for you.
Yeah, it is.
It is, yeah. So back in 1986, you began your travel career.
Hang on, you can say I don't look that old. It's okay.
You don't look that old, so I missed that point. But you're absolutely right. I mean, started as an apprentice on the counter at Lunn Polly, which obviously now is known as TUI.
Correct.
Next year makes it your 40th anniversar in travel. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel? Did you ever think you'd get this far in travel? Did you ever think you'd still be in travel?
I hoped I would.
Yeah.
I hoped I would. I'm a worker. I've been working since I was 16 years old. And there's a lot of other women that I know in the travel industry who are celebrating a 40th year next year as well, because we probably started at the same time. But I didn't really have a plan from the beginning of where I would end up or what I would do. But as kind of the years rolled on and I worked in retail travel, and I always wanted to aspire to do more and be more. I certainly wanted to be a manager because I like being in charge. So my mum tells me I'm very bossy, but in a nice way. But I always wanted to kind of move up the ladder and do more and achieve more. And I think a lot of younger people now, and my stepson is one of those, they go to university, they study hard at university and they kind of go into roles. But when I was coming out of school, you only really went to uni if you were going to be a lawyer or a doctor or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So you had to find your best way in. And I think my dad always wanted me to do A-levels because I was bright and wanted me to study, but I was like, I want to go to work, I want to earn some money and I want to learn about travel. So back then I kind of had an interview, went for the job. So you kind of worked in a travel agency, and it was very different then. There was no kind of internet as such. There was view data, which you could book on the system, or you'd phone up and you'd make a booking. And what was really interesting was that, you kind of learnt on the job. But we went to college, we did some exams called the Certificate of Travel Agency Competence, COTAC.
Okay. Yeah.
So you did various levels, 1, 2 and 3. So that was part of your learning. And you had to really study hard because actually people didn't travel so much back then. When you went to, when you started in travel, if you got kind of an education or you'd perhaps do your own holiday, and like for me, I'd been to Spain or kind of Greece, that was it. So because there wasn't so much travelling, I guess you had to really study hard and learn more to advise customers. But I think what's good now is more and more people can come into the industry. People kind of come in and run their own businesses via home working, or actually go into retail travel agencies kind of at perhaps an older age or after they've had another career. But I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think one, people have got more experience of the world and they've travelled more, so they're more knowledgeable.
Exactly.
And also people have got good networks of connections. So and not everyone necessarily, some people book online, some people go to an agency, some people call someone who's got their own home working business. So if people have got connections and networks of people, they can build up that business quite easily. So I think there's really new and good reasons why people come into the industry at different times in their life now. But I started young because I wanted to work and I wanted to travel.
I was going to say, was travel quite a big desire for you as well?
I mean, I used to plan our holidays. So there was a company back in the day called Intersun. Some people on this will know this. And they went out of business kind of in the early 90s. I remember that well. But I'd sit at home and I'd be planning their holidays with mum and dad, go, right, this, looking up the holiday code and working out the pricings and doing all that. So, which is something you did manually back then. So I always had an interest to want to work in travel. And I always kind of, it was a bit of a passion of mine from a young age. I think really I wanted to be cabin crew at the start. Of course. But then I thought, maybe not. So I kind of found a new avenue to work in the industry.
And what about cruising then? I mean, obviously back then cruise was a very different industry, very different type of holiday. Today, we all know some of the incredible things that you do on a cruise, whereas, back then it was very formal. It was very maybe reserved for one type of customer. It wasn't as open to everyone else. Was cruise always something that you saw yourself getting into, or
I think it was in the mid-90s. I worked for a company called Going Places, which were part of Air Tours, which eventually merged with Thomas Cook, and they had their own cruise line at Air Tours and had a ship called the Carousel. And actually, one of our tasks in retail as a retail managers. We had to promote that product, so you had to find a way to do it. So kind of, you're right, the informality of that product lended itself well to people that perhaps had, kind of been in a 4-star hotel in Spain or Greece or Cyprus or wherever they've been. So we kind of started to learn a little bit more. And at that time, which probably brings us into the next part of my career, is we started to work quite closely with Royal Caribbean at the time, and really started to promote their products. And we used to just talk to people about cruising. We learned ourselves, and then we'd try to sell it by talking about it and talking about the benefits. And it's amazing that people actually don't think about cruising, or didn't think about cruising as a viable option for their trip. And then once you start talking about the value for money, everything that was included, more and more people became interested in it, and we kind of built from there. But I had an absolute passion for cruise. Most definitely.
Because you say obviously working with Royal Caribbean, you ended up at Royal Caribbean for a certain amount of time. How was that? What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. So I'd kind of, all through my kind of retail career, I kind of worked my way up, and I became a regional sales manager. And in one of my last retail positions, I worked at TUI, and you had kind of experts, and I was like a divisional expert for cruise, and we'd help to organise cruise shows and kind of build a profile and work with P&O and Princess and Royal Caribbean and Cunard and Fred Olsen's, whoever else. We'd do cruise shows and work with them on those. But I loved the Royal Caribbean product. I absolutely loved it. It kind of I don't know, it kind of captured me a little bit, because I just loved it when I got on board it. It was really exciting. And I became a real advocate of the brand. And there was an opportunity at TUI. I took redundancy, because there was an opportunity where they were kind of looking to streamline a little bit, and I took voluntary redundancy. Actually, my husband and I both worked at TUI. We did it at the same time, which is a bit risky, but we did it, and we kind of worked out okay. And an opportunity came up at Royal Caribbean to become a key account manager. So I thought, I'd actually really like to do this, because I haven't got a team anymore. I haven't got to manage people. I can live or die by my own sword, as it were. So I had to just go out and, kind of promote the product. And I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. I was out on the road. I was kind of meeting agents, doing cruise shows, doing cruise fairs. And I quite often chuckle, because Shane Riley, who works for Titan, obviously he's got a cruise background, he started at P&O at the time, and him and I had this absolute competition against each other. I can picture that. He would be at cruise events, and he'd be like, "Oh, Staffs, what you doing?" And I'd be, "Oh, Shane, here we go again." And we had this absolute competition. It was, and we used to talk about it now, because it was great fun, and we both loved what we did, and I adored it. And Nikki Tempest Mitchell, who's at Barhead now, she was kind of my manager at the time, and she really gave me a brilliant opportunity. She really kind of championed me and everyone else, and she was a great mentor, great person to work with. And I kind of worked my way up from a kind of a key account manager on all three brands of Royal, Celebrity and Azamara. And then I kind of decided just to focus on Royal, and I was a strategic account manager there, and I looked after the TUI account, which was great, because I kind of I knew TUI really well after I'd worked there for so well. So it was kind of a really lovely partnership. And we did some great things, some great seminars at sea, and some great marketing things, and it was a really good time of growth. It was wonderful to be there.
Really exciting period.
And of course, the wonderful Joe Jamoska was there as a brilliant mentor, and then Ben Boulding came along. So I feel really lucky to have worked with such kind of gifted people where you could learn so much from.
That's it, So
I think I've kind of been a bit of a sponge kind of over the years, really learning.
That's excellent. Well, now you're a very different product, very different brand, AmaWaterways, which is equally as exciting in its own right. You've been there for just over 2 years now, I believe. How's that been?
It's interesting, my journey, because I come from Royal Caribbean. I stepped back into retail for a little bit. Then I went to MSC for 5 years, which was amazing to kind of grow that brand and profile and work with the wonderful Steve Williams and Antonio Paradiso, great people. But I had this secret crush on River, this little crush of mine, and I thought, this needs to be my next move at some point. So I kind of had a little bit of time at Scenic, and then I kind of met Jamie, who's my MD, and we chatted, and then some time went on, and he kind of. We kind of talked about this position, that could be there for the sales director, the role. And I kind of, looked at everything and thought about it, and was lucky enough to get the job. And it's one of the best moves I've ever made. Brilliant. I've been there for 2 years, and I absolutely adore the brand. I work with brilliant people. The kind of owners of the business, Rudy, Christine and Gary, are really, really visible. It's been lovely to meet them and spend time with them. And it's just a wonderful place to work, and it's a fantastic product. It's luxurious, but it's relaxed, and we have high repeat customers. We have great CSQ scores. People want to come again and again and again, and it's just a lovely way to see the world. I just love river cruising. Don't get me wrong. Would I ocean cruise again? Yes, of course. But this is my thing. I just love it. I'm an advocate of it. It's a great way to see the world, and a great place to work.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we know the team brilliantly, and we've done a lot of work with Amma in the past, and I have personally. And I must say, everyone we work with there is just, you can really feel the passion for the brand, and I think that's really important when it comes to cruising, especially river cruising, because river cruising itself is quite a nuanced product. It's not, you see the likes of Royal, MSC, all these massive ocean cruise lines, and they've got roller coasters, go-kart tracks, whatever it may be, and that's, I want to try that. Whereas river, it's, you've really got to get that message across of why take a river cruise. Yeah,
it's really immersive, and it's really about kind of getting into the destination.
Yeah.
And lots of people take city breaks, but if you went on our romantic Danube itinerary, you get to go to Budapest, you get to see Bratislava, you get to see Vienna, and you get the wonderful countryside and the wine, the Wachau Valley and the wine and the wonderful churches and the castles and all that kind of thing. So you get a real mixture of everything. It's just a lovely, lovely way to see the world. I always use, people in the industry who know me, I use my dad as a barometer.
Right.
So my dad is now 75 years old, but he's been, I've put him on all sorts of holidays over the years. And took my dad on his first river cruise last year, and he still ocean cruises.
Right.
But I said, right, Dad, what do you think? And he said, well, you really elevated it, Andrea, so I expected it to be good, but it was incredible.
Excellent.
And he loved the food, he loved the service, he loved the fact that we kind of got, we got on the ship and in Wilshofen in Germany, and we just walked on, and there was no big check-in process. It was just easy. So he's a great advocate for that. So thanks,
Good
Dad.
Good to have that in your corner.
Yeah,
it really helps. Yeah. So obviously, very exciting times for Amma at the moment. What are some of the things that our listeners, our agent readership, should be looking out for from you guys in the coming months?
Well, we've got some exciting news already coming soon, but I can't tell you about it because we'd have to cut this completely. But no, we have got some updates and some quite exciting things coming in the next few months. However, right now at this moment, we've got new ships coming. So we've got the Amma Sophia coming next year. She'll be on the Rhine and then on the Danube. We're building another ship for the Mekong because of demand.
Wow.
So kind of early 2027. You may well know we've got what we call our double width ship. So she's the Amma Magna.
Yes, yeah.
And she's kind of twice the size of a standard river cruise ship, but only takes around 190 guests as opposed to kind of 160.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot more in terms of kind of public spaces, etc. So we have her. Our new CEO, Catherine, calls her the brother ship, the Amma Rudy, coming in 2027. Yes. So named after our founder,
of course,
Rudy Schreiner. So that's going to be really exciting to see what that looks like and how that's going to be. And then we've just announced kind of over the last couple of weeks another 8 ships being built. So we'll be at 40.
Wow.
By the time I turn a certain age, in 5 years' time. So that's amazing.
Very exciting.
Well, it's really exciting because I think that in the UK especially, not everyone in every agency or every consumer understands the size and scale of what AmaWaterways has. Yeah. And I'm delighted that River Cruise is having a moment right now because it is. Yeah, it really is. And everyone has kind of got a great product, and we've got some of the ocean players coming in. Yeah. And that's great because actually it just elevates.
Yeah,
River.
I was going to ask you that actually with these big players. Obviously, at this turn of the year, Celebrity announced their decision to come into the ocean with 10 ships, soon followed by National Geographic and Trafalgar as well joining the river. So. Some people may have seen that like big players. It might take business away from us, but I think everyone I've spoken to from the river industry and from what we've heard, everyone's really encouraged by it because it shows how big of a growth market river is. If these huge businesses are saying actually that's where the demand is, we're willing to put these ships down.
I would really agree, Will, in that if anything can elevate river, it should do because when I look back at how cruise started to build 20 years ago, kind of ocean cruising. Kind of river probably in the last 2 years has kind of come to that point where it's really starting to build, And every river cruise is different.
Yeah.
Okay, they may go to the same destinations, but the product, the feel, the service will be different on board. So there's, in the words of Jo Jamoska, who is a wonderful one, she said there's a cruise for everyone and there's a river cruise for everybody.
Absolutely.
But you have to talk to your potential guest and find out what it is they're looking for.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you can match them up to the right river cruise line, as long as it's AmaWaterways.
Of course.
Of course. But,
I was waiting for that caveat.
But there is, and I think anything that really elevates river is a good thing.
Yeah.
And it just means that there's an opportunity for all of us.
Absolutely.
And I think there are agents out there that really understand our product, and there's other agents that understand some of our competitors a bit better. But actually, if as an agent you do your homework, you really understand what each river cruise line is about, you'll find the right product for your
Absolutely.
customer.
Yeah. And it's great that there's so much product out there as well. I mean, as you say, when it comes to ocean, it can be quite clear where the differences are just by the size of ships, but with river, it really takes that agent experience and having the agent to explain, actually, this is the difference between this. Yes, the ships might look similar, but on board it's a completely different experience, which of course we know how important agents are to AMA, which is excellent. It's these things we really like to hear. And so looking forward to next year then, 2026, it pains me to say that we are somehow nearly ending this year already. I can't believe that it's November soon. What would you say some of your goals are in 2026 for the brand?
For the last 2 years I've been with the business, we've really increased our distribution, which has been exciting, and the majority of our business comes through travel agents. That's Excellent. How we work. Travel agents for us are, whether you're an OTA, a home worker, you're on the high street, however you operate, and tour operators as well, you are an extension of us. And that's how we see it. So we want to increase distribution. We want to talk to more people about selling AmaWaterways. So if anyone out there wants to talk to me, please drop me a note. I'd love to talk to you. But we do quite a good job of that. And our team are true business development managers. They'll go out, they'll talk to people about the product. And of course, one size doesn't fit all, and we'll pivot as we need to, depending on the type of agency that we would work with.
Of course.
The other thing that was really key for me is I really want us to cement AmaWaterways as an admired and trusted brand in the river industry. We get great feedback, as I said before. People do know us, people love working with us, but that is really important. And of course we want to continue to deliver excellence, if it's from my BDM team and actually to our contact centre team, who are amazing. Because we just focus on one product and it's just river, they know the ins and outs of everything. So if you pick up the phone to them and you say, I've got a guest and they want to go on the Rhine, but I'm not sure what time of year or what they should do, talk to those guys and they can really help you. But the beauty of river as well, and another point I really want to talk about and get across to agents, is you can have a different holiday at a different time of year. If you go in February, because we start kind of February, so really early, there's not so many crowds, it's quieter, kind of spring is just starting to come through as well. You could be on the Danube then and have that experience, and then you could be in the Danube in December and it's Christmas markets and it's bright and sparkly. Holiday, or you can be on the Danube in the summer and you can be sunbathing on deck. So it's very, very different. As well as our European destinations, we've got brilliant exotic destinations, and again, some people know we do that, some people don't, but we're in Colombia, we're in Egypt, we're in Africa, we work with the Zambezi Queen, we're on the Mekong. And I think, one of my proudest moments has been kind of the launch of the product in Colombia. It's pretty phenomenal.
Really cool.
Really
it does look really cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. It sounds really exciting. We love to hear lines sort of growing and building, and sort of at the same time not forgetting about the agents and noticing how important they are to these sort of things and getting that brand name out there.
And I think next year we're really looking hard into the fam trips that we're going to run.
Interesting.
We've got one coming up in November, but we're certainly going to be looking to do more of those next year, because seeing really is believing.
It really is.
Until you get on board and you experience the product, you experience the service, you experience all the little things that we do, like making every day, an hour before dinner we have a cocktail hour called Sip and Sail. One of our owners, Gary, says, it's a free bar, but but Sip and Sail is lovely. It's a lovely cocktail hour for the day. You experience that. You experience our chef's table, which is a 7-course wine pairing meal that's all included in the cost of your river cruise. It's just wonderful, and 6 excursions a day that are all included. A ride in a bike through Vienna, or it's just magical. And if the more people we can get to experience that, the better. And we really kind of want to talk to those agents that have got luxury customers, etc., who are looking for that kind of product.
Yeah, brilliant, very exciting. So just to round off, it was something we spoke about a bit earlier in our chat. Obviously you've had an extremely successful, very storied career in cruise and travel. Something we're very passionate about at CTN is getting new people into the industry for the first time. We've worked with the Cruise Career Springboard, Edwina Lonsdale's, which is brilliant. Really excellent program to get new people into the industry. So we like to use this platform to share some advice to someone who might be listening, who maybe have just started out as a travel agent, maybe just started out in a cruise line sales team, or wherever that may be. So if you did have advice for someone like that, maybe who's thinking of a career in cruise and travel, or has just started and wants to look to get to that next step, what would that be?
There's a few things, if that's okay.
Of course, please.
Please keep an open mind. So if you start in one sector of the industry, keep an open mind to trying something new. So you can, I've worked in various kind of parts of the industry. So and that's a good learning place until you find your niche and what you want to do. Once you kind of figure out what part of the industry you want to be in, have a plan, have a goal of where you would like to get to. You may be happy selling all the time, but you may want to kind of move up the ranks and be more strategic and try something new. The big thing for me is build relationships and stay friends with everybody in the industry, because the industry is very small and you never know who you're going to be working for. There's a lot of people in the industry that have been in my sales teams before, and I'm so proud of what they've achieved. If some of them are CEOs and field sales managers and have moved on, and I'm sure at some point I'll be working for one of those guys if they'll have me, just saying. So that's fine. And I also think always be authentic, be yourself, because under times of stress and strain, you always revert to type. And I think that you should always be your authentic self and let people see the true you. And that's the best thing you can do, because really people will like you and want to work with you because of how you are, not something that you pretend to be. And just be curious. Be curious. Don't judge people. Don't judge events. Don't judge companies. Just be really curious about what's out there. And that can relate to everything in your career that you do. Even like developing your knowledge will absolutely help your curiosity. And I think you can be curious at any age. I'm still really curious.
Absolutely.
I think I'm going to be here forever.
Always learn something new.
I'm going to be in the travel industry forever, because I'm always curious as to what's going on. And it's exciting times.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that, Andrea. Coming towards the end of the episode now, we do like to round up a few things so our readers can get the highlights of what we've spoken about. Some of these sort of key takeaways. For me, I think one of the biggest takeaways from our chat is something we literally just mentioned in terms of being yourself. I think that's such an excellent piece of advice. And as you say, not just for people starting out in the travel industry, people who have been in the travel industry for a while, people who have maybe had a very successful career outside of the industry and coming over. Personality in travel is so key. We all work with relationships, we all work with each other, whether it's a media company like ourselves, a cruise line like yourselves, or travel agents, whatever it is, having a relationship with someone is so important. And I think being yourself is crucial to that. And that's how we drive forward. That's how people win awards. That's how people get more people on cruise ships, which is the overall goal. I think that's one of the biggest key takeaways for me. Another one from me would be the importance of the trade to AMA and AmaWaterways' future goals. I think just talking to you now, it really does come across, and from all the updates we get from the guys and everything that we produce on your behalf, it's all very trade friendly, very trade focused, which is excellent. So for our travel agent listeners, please do reach out to the team. As Andrea mentioned, we'll make sure that all the contact information is available readily. But yeah, I think keep an eye on everything on CTN for updates in the future. And Andrea, if there's anything that you'd like listeners to take away with them from our chat?
I would say River Cruise is having a real moment. As I said before, it's having an absolute moment. And, every single River Cruise company out there is very active at the moment. Just talk about it to your potential customers, because if you don't tell, you won't sell.
Absolutely.
Simple
That's
as that.
a great way to end it on. I think, Andrew, I could talk to you for hours, but we'll have to call it there. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely have you on for another episode in the future.
Lovely to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.